Okay, now listen. Here's my pitch. How about a retelling? No. A reimagining of a beloved children's story about grief, acceptance, and growth. We'll call it Pinocchio.
Yeah, okay. Great. Pinocchio. Yeah. Another one. Yeah, don't have much of those lying around in the office.
Oh, come on. I'm sure there can't be that many Pinocchio movies.
Ah, there it is. Would you look at that?
Huh. Well, this one's different because this one is directed by Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, really? Huh. Okay, let me see that. Okay. Stop motion animation. Okay, that's always impressive. Great voice acting. I mean, compared to the last Pinocchio movie, I'd say this one's an automatic upgrade. Well thought out characters, emotionally investing. Alright, okay, this sounds great. I'm all in. I'm sure the kids will. What are you doing?
What?
Why are you dressed as a Nazi?
Oh, this?
Don't worry about it. It's part of the movie as well.
Huh.
I feel like we were doing well with the kids until the Nazi part.
No. This is very crucial.
But Guillermo del Toro.
Fuck.
Fine. Okay. Maybe we can sneak some.
We're gonna do the Hitler salute and everything.
What?
But don't worry, we won't show Hitler.
I feel like you're gonna say something equally worse.
We'll have Mussolini instead.
There it is.
Yeah, we'll have him shoot Pinocchio and everything. So when do we start filming?
You want to think bright. You want to think right.
Another Pinocchio movie. Oh my god, how many reimaginings do we need for a fucking puppet?
Yep, that's right.
Released back in December of 2022 on Netflix, the long-awaited Guillermo del Toro reimagining was critically and globally adored as the movie scored solid 90% all throughout the board. Praised for its stunning visuals and faithfulness to the source material, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio was without a doubt an instant hit, so much so that it actually won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature, beating the likes of Marcel with a Shell and Puss in Boots.
And you have no idea how devastated I was when that happened. It's got probably Puss in Boots or Marcel, right?
And the Oscar goes to
I kind of want to go Puss in Boots.
Guillermo del Toro.
So with that,
I thought it was good. It was good.
I wouldn't say it was a masterpiece. Personally, I wouldn't have given it a 97%, but the movie has heart. It does have a darker tone compared to the other Pinocchio movies, but I think that's what makes it really good. The voice acting is great. Geppetto and Pinocchio are fantastic characters. I think the story flowed seamlessly well, and the stop motion animation is straight up beautiful. Another element that really worked for me was not just the emphasis of death and the true value of life, but also on how they handled it and presented the entire concept. Now, I'll be completely honest here. I don't really find the story of Pinocchio that interesting. Even the animated Disney version that everyone seems to love. As a kid, I just personally didn't like it. I just didn't vibe with the entire thing. I got pretty bored watching it as a kid, and rewatching it as an adult, yeah, I still don't really care for it. Then there was this weird live-action Italian version where Pinocchio is somehow a 30-year-old human? Like, come on, what exactly are we doing here, man? What is this? And why is it always playing on my grandfather's TV whenever we visit on Sundays? So, yeah, the general story of Pinocchio is already a tough sell for me. And I just think that it's been told way too many times already. And it's not even that interesting. This movie not being the exemption either. I mean, don't get me wrong, they do add and modify some elements here and there, but the overall plot is still the same. And that's why I wasn't really that moved. But with that being said, the movie is still pretty good. I'm a sucker for stop motion and I love Guillermo's work, so there's that. Well, anyways, I have my fair share of thoughts and opinions about this movie, so why don't we just get right to it? Did Guillermo del Toro pull all the right strings to deserve such praise, or did he simply craft a big old mess? Well, let's find out and take a look. This is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. The movie starts off promising as we're foreshadowed a wacky, fun, and witty adventure that awaits us in—
By the time Master Geppetto made Pinocchio, he had already lost a son.
Okay, never mind. Jesus, what a start! We're just diving straight to the sad part now, aren't we? We're introduced to Geppetto, the town's local carpenter.
They'd been together only 10 years, but it was as if Carlo had taken the old man's life with him.
Ah, was Carlo 40 years old? Jesus! He looked like Jigsaw if he had no makeup. Here we meet Carlo, Geppetto's son.
Papa!
Yes?
Guess what I saw?
What?
guess?
I've no idea.
I told you to fucking guess, old man.
And the old witch warned the little hedgehog, do not tell lies, or your nose will grow and grow up to here.
That or the studio has to redo your entire design. So basically the next 10 minutes is a quick flashback devoted to Carlo and Geppetto, seeing their relationship and how they fare with the town. They already tell you that Carlo is gonna die, so basically this whole thing is just one big ticking time bomb. You know it's coming, but the movie does a fairly good job carving out an understanding reason to why Geppetto would essentially just stop functioning the moment he loses Carlo. It's great character building and it adds more emotion to how Pinocchio would come to be. It's not just this one old guy who builds a life-size boy puppet and wishes for it to come to life. This one actually has a tragic backstory that you can totally get behind. But I do gotta say though, you guys were too happy being with each other. At that point, you're just begging for something bad to happen. Oh my god, another three-legged dog! Is this one going to be annoying and useless as well? Disney is never safe with me, baby.
Magnificent job, Geppetto. Thank you. You are...
Jesus Christ! Literally. I'll show myself out. Well, anyways, one night, however, the two would find themselves in a bad spot as the church Geppetto and Carlo was working on suddenly, get this, gets bombed by a warplane. The words Geppetto, church, and warplane are the last things you'd expect in a Pinocchio movie, but yet here we are. But not before a not so subtle foreshadowing to kick it off.
Ta-da!
The perfect pine cone.
I thought I could plant it myself and watch the tree grow.
I think that's as good an idea as any boy ever had, Carlo.
Isn't it? Oh, wait, my pine cone!
Oh Jesus, you seem so cool. I hope we get to meet one day. Why don't we get to meet now, motherfucker? Whee! The perfect pine cone! Hope it was all worth it. Should have just accepted the one he gave you in the forest earlier, huh, Geppetto? Also, how the fuck did the pine cone survive and not Carlo? You were literally holding the thing in front of you when it exploded. So yeah, Carlo dies, which essentially just sends Geppetto into a downward spiral. He stops working on basically everything and pretty much just spends his time by Carlo's grave.
Hello there.
We then get to meet Cricket, Sebastian Cricket. Not Jiminy Cricket, I guess that's a Disney thing, so yeah. But one thing that does stand out to me is something about this upcoming scene. Now, pardon me, I have not read the original source material, so I have no idea if this movie is being faithful or just trying something else. But here's my take. Geppetto actually starts to make Pinocchio out of a drunken stupor. Like he had no whimsical thought whatsoever. He didn't build the puppet to pass the time or grieve. Like he just got pissed and started building Carlo.
I'll make Carlo again. Hey! Out of this accursed pine!
Yeah, so for a solid minute or two, we get to witness Geppetto horrifyingly clump together this wooden puppet. There's even this one scene where he finishes the body and leans it just below a framed picture of Carlo, and it is unnerving as shit. But have no fear, as similar to the other Pinocchio films, a fairy godmother hears the prayers and grants Geppetto's plea, making the newly built puppet alive. Thank you, fairy godmother, you caring, gentle, and oh my god, nightmare fuel! Cut to the next day and we finally get to meet the main character of our movie, Pinocchio. And the movie does it in the most unsettling and creepy way possible.
What is this? What kind of sorcery?
You wanted me to live. You asked for me to live.
Who are you?
My name is Pinocchio. I'm your son.
Yeah, so basically that's where we are in the story. Geppetto meets Pinocchio and Cricket, and it's your basic Pinocchio story for a while. And you gotta give props to the movie. Pinocchio's design is very unique, and I kinda like it. Yeah, it gets some getting used to, but in a quick glance, it works. I mean, he was made by someone who was depressed and drunk out of his mind, so it would make sense for him to end up looking like that, but
either way, I like the design. It's unique, it's cool, and don't forget, this whole thing isn't CGI. Every angle you see Pinocchio in is real, so it just makes it more impressive on how detailed he looks.
All the things my eyes can see.
Side note, I had no idea this was a musical, by the way, so imagine my face when this piece of twigs just started singing. Skipping ahead, Geppetto actually starts to bond and build a relationship with Pinocchio for a quick while. Eventually though, the town would find out about the puppet, and give them credit, they actually act like normal human beings and freak the fuck out.
Sorry.
Later that day, however, well, that came out of nowhere, didn't it? Yeah, so Nazis are here. I mean, I don't know if it's in the book. Like I said, I haven't read it, but Nazis are here. Podesta, it's this dude, would order Geppetto to send Pinocchio to school. In that, he does. We also get to meet his son, Candlewick, a name that is, and forever will be, stupid. He also plays a big role later in the movie, so keep that in mind. And at this point, we all know what happens. Pinocchio tries to go to school, he gets persuaded to join the circus, yada yada, but instead of a fox and a cat, you get a monkey and Phineas if he didn't have Ferb, ringleader Count Volpe, and his right-hand man, Spazzatura. Back in town, however,
Last, our savior is restored.
ah! God damn it, you gotta warn me before you go popping that thing out like a maniac!
My gum, my gum.
Yeah, I forgot you were a musical. Luckily though, Cricket would help Geppetto find Pinocchio and he'd manage to bring him back home. Well, sorta.
It was so much fun, Papa.
So Pinocchio dies, and here's a change that I actually really like. He ends up meeting with what I would assume is the Fairy of Death, and we find out that Pinocchio can't technically die for real, but instead has to wait for time to run out of the hourglass. Kinda like a loading screen whenever you have to respawn. And here's the catch. With each death, the bigger the hourglass gets, which means the longer the wait. Well, anyways, after all this, time runs out and Pinocchio comes back to life. And it's become apparent that Pinocchio is immortal, which leads to Podesta recruiting him for... let me see here. The war. So we now have three conundrums. Geppetto simply wants Pinocchio to come home, Count Volpe has a binding contract that requires Pinocchio to perform, and Podesta wants to enlist Pinocchio to battle. I feel like the third part is a major departure from the source material, but I don't know what I'm talking about anyway, so I'll just give it a pass. Anyways, being legally obliged to fulfill his contract, Pinocchio would run away and rejoin the circus in hopes to bring money back home to Geppetto. They travel around the country with Pinocchio as the main attraction, all while Geppetto and Cricket relentlessly spend days chasing and tracking them down. We get a whole montage of everything, and it's pretty sad, not gonna lie. The whole sequence shows the wear and tear that's slowly affecting Pinocchio, all while showing Geppetto always being a step behind and just out of reach. It's really painful to watch, and they did a really good job. They even top it off with Pinocchio singing this super depressing song, and god damn it, I keep forgetting you're a musical. Back to Geppetto and Cricket, however, they find themselves in trouble as they get swallowed whole by a... I have no idea what this is. I was going to say a whale, but it looks like a fish, but it's not a fish because it has a penis for a head. I don't fucking know, man. All I know is that they're in this thing's belly now, okay? Moving on. So yeah, if you've seen the Disney version, or hell, any version at least, this has been your standard storyline for Pinocchio movies. The circus, the cheers, the abuse, Mussolini. Excuse me, what? Mussolini, Mussolini! The dictator in a Pinocchio film? Ah, yes! Surely nothing could go wrong with that concept.
These are puppets I do not like. Shoot him!
He's dead. Well, anyways, as Pinocchio wakes up, he finds himself in the hands of none other than Podesta. We're then shown that he, together with Candlewick and other boys, are on their way to, that's right, the good old classic Pinocchio story, a Nazi training camp. Yeah, I'm kinda sensing that they weren't really faithful in this part of the book either. Pleasure Island or Nazi training camp? Pleasure Island or Nazi training camp? Alright, so now we're into the next storyline, where Pinocchio is trained to be a leader of a Nazi army. Out of context, that sounds completely absurd. He and Candlewick actually share a moment here, and it's actually pretty good. But I do wish that they developed Candlewick a little bit more though. Their last conversation was the scene at the fireplace, so it's pretty weird that the movie kinda just expects you to care about their feud. Hell, I wasn't even sure if Pinocchio was aware of a feud. But this whole training sequence is still a great resolution between them, which is nice. Add in Candlewick finally finally standing up to his dad and refusing to shoot Pinocchio, it's a decent character arc that the lack of development can be easily overlooked. He also kinda indirectly kills his dad, but hey, we don't really have to talk about that. Oh baby, my man got yeeted! How are you not on fire, my guy? Dead, 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 dead. Come on, man, that's like 4 different sizes of hourglasses. We're going to be here for a while. Oh, never mind, he's alive.
Hello, my little rebel. I found you at last.
You found him? What were you doing outside of the training camp? Did you know it was going to get bombed at this exact hour? What did you use for transportation? You're on top of a fucking mountain. Were you just going to waltz in and demand the government to give you back Pinocchio? Yeah, so get this. Count Volp miraculously finds Pinocchio from the wreckage, and what does he do? He ties him up and tries to burn him alive.
Burn bright, like a star!
Hot! Worse than chocolate! Ow!
Oh no, the horror! Why? Why would you put Pinocchio in such a... He can't fucking die! What's the point in burning him alive when you're aware that he's fucking immortal? What was your end game here, my guy? You're either gonna run out of wood or patience, because this thing just keeps coming back to life. Oh, I get it now. We needed a reason why Pinocchio ended up in the ocean. Ah, I see. You know, if only there was a moment where he was yeeted off the establishment where he could have simply landed in the water, but hey, you know what? Fuck me, right? Well, anyways, ᵐᵦᵈ would betray Count Volp, however, and helps Pinocchio escape. This would lead to them falling to the ocean and cut to the next day. And to here, we know exactly where it goes. They get swallowed by... the whale? Question mark? And Pinocchio and Geppetto finally reunite. The group find a way out of the whale by climbing out of its blowhole. But by the looks of it, I won't be surprised with it being a different kind of hole. The group managed to escape, but still find themselves still at the sites of the sea monster. Yeah, I could have just called it a sea monster instead of a whale, huh? During the whole scuffle, Pinocchio would manage to take down the beast, but in return, kills himself. Which leads to a scene that I really liked for some reason. Alright, so, Geppetto is drowning and Pinocchio has to wait for the fairy's hourglass to run out. But here's the catch. If Pinocchio were to break the hourglass, he'd come right back to Earth, but as a mortal. Funny thing here is that this is the first time you're hearing of this rule. You couldn't mention that the first time you introduced the concept, my guy? So with that, Pinocchio agrees. He breaks the hourglass, gets sent back to Earth one last time, and saves Geppetto, but in the process, again, kills himself. A lot of Pinocchio deaths this movie, but have no fear, the fairy godmother shows up and brings Pinocchio back to life. She doesn't really turn him into a real boy, he's still a wooden puppet, but this time, he can just die, so I don't really know what to feel about that. So overall, they come back home, everyone's happy, and all is well. Cricket and ᵐᵒᵈ has some place to live, Geppetto finally gets his son back, and Pinocchio is finally living like a normal boy. The end. Oh, and years later they show Geppetto, Cricket, and ᵐᵒᵈ are dead, and we cut to a shot of Pinocchio walking all alone into the great, big, relentless world as a mortal wooden boy. Yeah, that part kinda came out of nowhere and was pretty depressing, but hey, that was Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Whee! Personally, I wouldn't call it a masterpiece, but it's still a pretty good watch. The voice acting is great, the dark tone works really well, and as per usual, the stop motion always lives to impress. Sure, some characters needed to be fleshed out more, but main characters like Pinocchio and Geppetto are very well written, which somehow kinda balances it out, I guess. Is it probably the best Pinocchio movie out there? Absolutely. But I mean, the bar was set really low anyways, so... does it deserve all the praise it's gotten? Yeah, you can totally see why people would love it. But I mean, did it deserve to win the Oscar for Best Animated Feature over Puss in Boots? I personally don't think so, but hey, that's just me. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think I wasn't all too moved by this one because the story of Pinocchio has already been done countless of times, and I personally never really liked the original story in the first place, so. But to be fair, the movie did have me hooked all throughout, and I had a fun time watching, and that's all that matters. Overall, I would recommend Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio to pretty much anyone. It's a good watch. So with that, I'm probably going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. That's today's video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy your stay. Have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!